All right, we're on to our last few questions. Women are more likely to initiate breakups. So we went over that in the last lecture. Yes, women are more likely to initiate breakups than men. And we talked about that one of the reasons why is women seem to be more sensitive to the quality of the relationship than men are. Women also have more social support usually. Okay, less emotionally intense marriages have a higher success rate. What do you think? True or false? So like if they're not as emotionally intense, they do have a higher success rate. And the reason is what seems to erode away a marriage or a relationship is conflict and how we handle conflict. So couples that don't have such emotionally intense fights, usually kind of what goes with emotional intensity is like just as we have very strong, passionate relationships, we also have strong, passionate fights. So I'm not sure if you ever saw the movie Mr. and Mrs. Smith. It was Angelina Jolie and Brad Pitt. But that would be a pretty emotionally intense marriage. So they do. So the ones that are not quite as intense seem to have a higher success rate because there's less fighting usually. Okay. Couples who marry because of an unexpected pregnancy have a higher probability of divorce. True or false? Well, you should know that answer by now because I've told you over and over again that kids are tough on the marriage. You have to have a really strong relationship before you get into that having children. So the reason why I included this one is myself included. Sometimes when we're young, sometimes when we're older, we find ourselves in the face of an unexpected pregnancy. And then all of a sudden we look at this pregnancy and we're like, oh, this is a sign that we should be together. And maybe it is a sign that you should be together. I don't know what the answer is, but I will say that if you're expecting, like, I've heard people say that to me before. They're like, oh, we're going to have a baby so that we can make the relationship better. Or we're going to have a baby and see if the baby will help us get through all this turmoil, if it will change the way we see each other. And I think it's going to be worse, especially in this day and age where I think it's really difficult for there to be just a single wage earner to, maintain the household. I think that a lot of you, when you have children, you're probably both going to have to work, even if you both work like, part-time kind of and split the child rearing. I think it's very difficult nowadays just to raise children on one salary. Okay, the average amount of time for people to remarry after divorce is 3 years. Did you put true or false? It's actually true. So what they find is that people who get married tend to like to be married. So some people don't seem to want to ever be married, but then the people who do get married, they tend to want to remarry. So that's an interesting little point that I put on. But if you remember, if they do get remarried, are they likely to have happier marriages? If you remember, no. All right, well, I finished these questions. So there was a number of marriage questions, and I'll probably ask you these on the quiz, and I'll say which of these statements is true, so you'd have to look at them. But I do want you to kind of know what the research says about these because I think they are really valuable. Like all the ones that I chose have a very important role to play in your lives. Okay, we're going to go on to our last segment, and it's with regard to Gottman, and we're going to find out the 4 things that lead to divorce. This is such a powerful concept. I'm so glad you're here in this class.